really suggesting that Logan Sargeant should get another year in F1? Well, actually, yeah, there's only one seat left in F1 next year, at Williams, and everybody seems to want it. 2 years ago, nobody was particularly bothered about who had the second Williams seat because no one really thought that anyone could impress in that seat because they were pretty much at the back. But now, things have changed considerably. Williams are no longer a backmarker team. When Williams got Alex Albon on loan from Red Bull for the 2022 season, everyone thought, oh, great. Oh, he's just there to make up the numbers. What can Albon do in that seat? Albon has been able to help reimagine that team into a brand new iteration of itself under Dorilton Capital and now James Vowles. Everybody wants them on their dream team as a strong, friendly and reliable leader, very devoted as well. In fact, you hear Helmut Marko going, oh, well, we would sign Alex Albon, but he is locked into a long-term contract for 2026 and there's nothing we can do about it. So cathartic though. But now all the scorn has been focused around the second driver, that being Logan Sargeant. Everyone thought that Logan was just making up the numbers, that he's only there because he's an American, and everyone's trying to get America on side again. But actually, we're starting to see more and more evidence about maybe Williams knows what it's talking about regarding why they are so devoted to the American driver. James Vowles constantly says things that we mortals do not understand. There is something in the data, and my inklings were actually enhanced ever further when I saw a tweet from Formula Pace. The median race pace gap between teammates. The supposed team leaders are listed and the gap to the other drivers is shown, and Logan's gap to Alex isn't all that big. And this isn't some kind of arbitrary stat that you see all the time. They actually, Formula Pace, put in a lot of information. I'll show it on here. They actually took in many laps into account, as well as other variables. It's a far more concrete measure of skill than everyone thinking, Oscar Piastri's about to outscore Lewis Hamilton in his first rookie season. Not so fast there. I love Oscar Piastri, but come on, he's nowhere near as good as Lewis's rookie season. He's nowhere close to Lewis's record of 265 points in his first year, rebalanced to the modern scoring system. And Oscar has 5 more Grand Prix to score more points than Lewis did in 2007, so no. He's good, but he's not Lewis Hamilton good. When you actually look at this tweet again, the gap between Albon and Sargeant is smaller than the gap between Checo and Verstappen and Stroll and Alonso. Towards the other gaps, which are about just under 0.2, Logan's is only about maybe a 1/10.5 behind them, so there is room for improvement, yes, but it's not a gaping chasm like we're all led to believe. So maybe all of these articles and information that you hear from James Vowles are actually kind of justified. When they actually step back and look at the data that they see at the cars, because Williams, they do have access to all of the data in the telemetry, they are seeing that Logan Sargeant is able to peg the gap to 0.3 from Alex Albon, who has been around the F1 block for a very long time now. And in fact, when you actually step back even further and look to the Qatar Grand Prix, now one of the most arduous tracks on the calendar for very bad reasons, Logan was just about to out-qualify Alex Albon for the first time, narrowly missing out on actually getting into Q2 and pushing his teammate back into the elimination zone. Then you have to take into consideration something else, that Logan Sargeant, for the majority of the season, since pretty much Silverstone in Canada actually, he's been running a slower spec than Alex Albon. Albeit due to his own doing. That has to be mentioned as well, with a caveat that Logan Sargeant has been known to cause some accidents and errors which have put him near the top of the Destructors Championship for causing the most damage, and actually beginning to impede the development of the 2024 car, since resources have now got to be dedicated to making spare parts of a lower spec than what Alex Albon gets, because that makes sense as well. Alex Albon has scored all the points for Williams and where they are right now, so he gets all the new bells and whistles, whereas Logan has to deal with the scraps. But you then take that into consideration that if on average he's only 0.3 behind Alex and he was about to actually outperform Alex in a lower spec car, you got to sit back and go, okay, maybe he might deserve another season after all. Hopefully he can actually sort out the mistakes and make sure that he doesn't do that. He just needs to fix these rookie errors. And now, can you just stop and think for a second? Rookie error, the phrase, rookie error. Where do you think that phrase came from? Because rookies make errors. I've actually been reading the Max Verstappen autobiography lately, and it kind of made me think about this. Now, as you might be able to remember, Max was known for being a driver who was a bit of a maverick and caused a lot of incidents, hence being known at the time Max Crashtappen. But in due course, he actually fixed it, because he actually was given the time to fix those errors, and come 2018-2019, we started to see Max Verstappen prime. But before then, he had a very bad reputation and was a driver to steer well clear of when you actually came across him. You didn't want to get tangled up with Max Verstappen, so you gave him a wide berth. And he was rushed into F1 like Logan Sargeant. He'd only had 1 year in F3 prior to this. Max Verstappen was making all of the rookie mistakes where everyone else can see him. He didn't have the luxury of being in junior categories where he could make those mistakes with relative anonymity. He was pretty much seen on the world stage making these errors as he was finding his feet, and the world lapped it up, gave him that nickname of Crashtappen, and were basically trying to write him off. The same thing was happening with Logan, because he was rushed into Formula 1 a year sooner than Williams would have ideally liked. So similar things are happening here, but I'm not comparing Logan to Max Verstappen in terms of skill and performance, because well, that would be ridiculous. Max Verstappen is completely different to pretty much the entire grid. He lives, eats, and breathes racing. That's just in his DNA. What James Vowles is dealing with is the fallout of a desperate selection from the Capito era of Williams. Sure, Jost Capito himself wasn't instrumental in choosing Logan for the call-up, but it did occur under his time in the team principal role, and Vowles is doing what he can to make it work, having been bestowed it, or maybe lumbered with it. And really, he's doing an excellent job. What I feel Williams is turning into right now is the definition of a paragon team, the good guys. A team with oodles of positivity, loyalty, compassion, whilst also working within the ideals of logic, data, and reason. After years of being seen as disorganized, cliquey, and in abject poverty in comparison to the other teams, making Haas out to be completely rich. Logan has gone on record saying he's pleasantly surprised about how much the team have actually put faith in him. Sure, it can be seen as having a lot of pressure put on him, but this is very, very unexpected in his eyes. They thought that they would be very indifferent or worried or angry at the fact that he's making these mistakes, but James Vowles is backing him 100% until the end of the season. Something that Logan wasn't really expecting, but welcoming. And that kind of confidence boosting is going to be very crucial come the last few races of the season. But at the same time, they're not sugarcoating him, they're not playing favourites. They have told Logan what they expect of him. At least he knows what he's trying to aim for. And going back to the average pace gap I showed you, so I'm thinking more and more that he may need to actually have another year before we can see his full potential. But there are three things going against Logan Sargeant that he really doesn't have that much control over. He can't really change it or just make not happen. First of all, there's the fact that Oscar Piastri exists, and Liam Lawson to a similar extent, then him having far less testing time to be able to get up to speed with Formula 1, and the third being that he's American. So first you've got Piastri and Lawson. These two chaps have blown apart the expectations of F1 rookies yet again. You had the likes of Albon, Norris, Russell, Leclerc coming in 2018, 2019, and completely redefining what you could expect from an F1 rookie in this current era of Formula 1, where testing at the beginning of the season is extremely limited. These four drivers have turned into the leaders in their respective teams, what the team envisions for the future, the ones put on a pedestal. Some of them are handling the pressure better than others. But when you get the likes of Logan Sargeant coming in and everyone expecting, well, okay, why don't you do that too? And he isn't able to do it because he has had relatively limited success in the junior categories, but he has been able to do enough to get to Formula 1. People are quick to write him off because he's not doing what these other rookies are doing. And then on top of that, you get Oscar Piastri coming in, and you get Liam Lawson coming in, and they completely wipe the floor with him yet again. Oscar Piastri completely ripping up the rule books, and everyone comparing him now to Lewis Hamilton. Again, a little bit erroneously. So what is he trying to do? He's doing the best he can. And remember, he's in a Williams, a car which is now considerably slower than the McLaren. What can Logan do with less experience and a rushed promotion? He can just focus. He's basically been given a monumental task and the pressure has gotten to him. Sure, he's good, but he's not Piastri or Lawson good. We've just got to wait for that light bulb moment where Logan goes, aha, I think I got this, and is then able to actually match Alex Albon consistently, or maybe out-qualify him. Secondly, something that Logan Sargeant has pointed out, he doesn't get nearly as much testing time than the likes of Hamilton and Alonso got back in the day, where you could essentially just run and run for as long as you like, so long as your team had enough resources and money. McLaren could just whip out the car and test Lewis Hamilton all day and night if they wanted to. By comparison, Logan got whipped out of Formula 2 a year earlier than expected, given 3 days in an FW45, and then told, good luck. Okay. But having said that, there is a caveat to this point that Logan brings up. He's not exclusive to this. All of the rookies over the last few years have had to deal with the same circumstances. Some drivers have excelled more than others. Oscar Piastri had to deal with this. Nick de Vries had to handle with this. And really, you could even say that Liam Lawson is all the more impressive because he didn't have that. He got told, okay, Daniel's injured his wrist. You go in now. Good luck. and he brought the car home at Zandvoort where it was really, really wet. So maybe Lawson is hardier than everyone else. But anyway, what Logan said is kind of true, but it's not unique to him. But the next point I want to bring up is a very valid one too. Him being American is going against him. Since Drive to Survive came around, F1's finally cracked the American market after decades of trying to make a dent in the modern iteration of the motorsport world. Which is surprising considering that F1 has actually fostered many American drivers, nearly as much as 160, although some records say 58, no one's quite sure about which one is right, but it's still quite a lot. But in recent times, American drivers have really struggled to get in Formula 1. The last time before Logan Sargeant was Alexander Rossi, and even then, it wasn't for very long. The influx of American fans, as well as the addition of Miami and Vegas off of F1's own dime, has actually sort of bred a resentment towards the Americanization of Formula 1, which has mainly been the pursuit of European fans. And Logan Sargeant being an American at a time when the Americanization is at its peak in Formula 1 is really not helping his cause. It's causing a lot of backlash against him even being there. Him making mistakes, memes and jokes and stereotypes being flung in his direction, it's really not helping his psyche when all of this negativity is being hurled against him. Yes, he's from America. So? He's just doing what everyone else did. He got through the ranks, he got through Formula 2, he's got the super license points, so what's your problem? Of course, I have brought up his mistakes too in previous videos, and I will admit that, but when he does do good, I like to bring that up as well. I cannot deny the evidence that I'm starting to see that maybe Logan Sargeant is quicker than we all thought, and the team really seem to have confidence in him, and they have all the information that they need to make a decision about who drives their car next year. So maybe we should actually listen to them? But one thing I would never do is write Logan Sargeant off because he's American. In any case, when you get past the assumptions, the mistakes in his rookie year, his rush start to Formula 1, you actually start to see in the data that Williams seems to know what they're talking about. They can see that Logan Sargeant is quick. They just need to be able to extract that on a regular basis instead of seeing it in occasional peaks. It just needs to be made more consistent. And the positive environment that Logan has found himself in is pretty much going to be able to do just that. He wouldn't have been able to do that at Red Bull or AlphaTauri or even at Haas. Williams is the right team for him to be in at the moment. So he does need that extra year based on what I have seen now. Things are tricky for any brand new driver in Formula 1 these days, but sometimes this complete worry about their future can be completely washed away when the team principal of that team has actually started to compare him to the likes of Michael Schumacher. What am I getting at here? Well, hear me out in this video next.